Welcome to Setting the Table, hosted by Robin B., where we bring you the insider's scoop from top restaurateurs, industry experts, and creative minds who know what it takes to stand out and succeed. Hungry for insights on how to fuel your growth and stay ahead of the curve? You've just found your secret ingredient.
Hey everybody, Robin B. here with Setting the Table. Today on our episode, we're talking about a topic that every restaurant operator has to get right, and that is point of sale and payment processing. From tableside ordering to loyalty programs and secure transactions, your POS can make or break your guest experience. To help us understand restaurants and how the right solutions is a specialist who knows exactly how POS and payment systems impact restaurants every day. Our guest today is Todd Sagaser. He's a certified payment professional with more than 20 years experience helping businesses streamline payment systems, integrate POS system tools like QuickBooks and CRMs, and build customer loyalty through smarter technology. Todd, welcome today to Setting the Table. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, I just gave a quick synopsis of who you are, what you do. So do you want to give us a little bit more information about how you got into this industry and, what your business is all about?
Sure. The long and short of it is I got into a franchise opportunity right around the year 2000. And it was right when a lot of things were changing. We were seeing the .coms come out, Ford.com, Pets.com, a lot of talk about this new thing called the internet and domains. And I thought, wow, this is all really fascinating. And that was back when fax blasting was really popular. Well, a coworker of a coworker received a fax blast of a new paradigm in banking related to check processing and automation. And long story short, it ended up on my desk, and they thought it might be something that my brother and I would be interested in checking out. And we did. We went to a seminar, and come to find out it was a franchise opportunity just with check processing alone. Well, we got into that and found out that check processing was not the wave of the future. It was actually credit card processing and online credit cards and so forth. So here 25 years later, I'm still in the industry, but the business model has shifted significantly. We now operate out of a retail store and work on all sorts of different levels of consulting, payment processing, in-app payments, hardware sales, repairs, and things like that.
That's awesome. So 25 years, that's a long time. You know this this topic just a little bit, yeah?
I do. And, I started at a really interesting time in the industry because a lot of people, they may not even know. I should have had one with me here today. I didn't even think about that. But the old fashioned knuckle buster where they have to put the cards down into it. And it was like a kind of a carbon and a carbonless copy. And you would have to basically tear the sheets off. The customer would sign it. The merchant would have to send those into their bank, wherever that was. And it would literally take sometimes 7 to 10, 14 business days for them to process, make sure the numbers and the calculations were correct, for them to even get paid by the banks at that time. And they were doing the installations of these little terminals. If people would actually come by our showroom, we have some of these in kind of our point of sale archive, so to speak. We're a semi-oriented museum toward all things old credit card processing. But there used to be these little devices that didn't even have a printer or anything on it. It looked like a little numerical keypad. A lot of people confused them with like a time clock or something. But that was the first generation of what they called EDC, electronic data capture. And the wave at that time was converting merchants off of the carbonless copy to actually have funding appear in their bank account within about 3 days instead of 14 or longer. So it was absolutely revolutionary. And that's really how I got my proverbial toe dipped in the water of credit card processing.
That's so interesting. I remember those kind of, that was a long time ago where you did the, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. Oh, you got the sound effect down right.
I, this is sort of like when you talk to like my kids, when I mention like a, phone booth or the rotary phones, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you
It's
get
like,
that look like,
I feel so old.
what you talking about, Mom?
Right. All right. Well, so with that now, I mean, obviously 25 years later, can you tell us some of the like about the kind of products and brands you offer at your store? Like what those look like now?
Yeah, so behind me here, this is just some of our whiteboards. We have our partners listed up there. And the interesting thing is, I think over even just the last 5 years, there's been a rapid consolidation of the payments industry as a whole. Um, Processors are buying point of sale companies. Point of sale companies are realizing it's better to have a processor built into it. I have a prospect that's looking for a particular gift card program. And I thought, oh, wow, this should be easy. I mean, there's probably about 12 that I know of off the top of my head. And based on the requirements of what the prospect needs, I could probably narrow it down to about four. I was absolutely shocked. I hadn't shopped our gift card network in a while. Most companies are now parts of other companies, and the big players, instead of being 12, there's like probably about four that are truly independent. And of those four, not all of them are fully up to speed on their technology, and it just goes to show that things are changing all of the time.
Yeah. And it's getting to a point where everything is in there. I mean, I know the POS systems that I deal with for my clients. It's like they've got loyalty, they've got gift cards, they've got email and CRMs, they've got, obviously payment processing, but then they got the handheld devices. I mean, it's just, and every time, like you said, it's just so fastly evolving. And they just seem to be offering more and more and more. And I think that's a little overwhelming sometimes, probably for a lot of restaurants, especially as they're getting started, or when they want to maybe try something new. It feels very intimidating. A lot of restaurants, like their initial sort of conversation is all around lowest rate or lowest price or whatever. As they're looking at POS and merchant systems, like it shouldn't be just about the lowest price, right? Like what else should they be really looking at when they're starting to consider these things? I don't know if there's a checklist or something you kind of have them go through, or just some main sort of ideas that they should keep in mind.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's actually quite a few factors when it comes into a point of sale system. The point of sale system and technology as a whole is moving into almost like the role of a central nervous system within the business itself. And in order to understand your margins, your loss areas, places that have waste, maybe there's too much overstaffing or it's understaffing. I mean, you start to look at all the different data points on what it costs to operate. And a lot of restaurants are on a very thin margin anyway. Um, if they're not accessing that data in a relevant way, they're really they're up against the wall. And what happens is all their other operators, most likely in that area, are doing the data and they're looking at the things that they need to tweak or improve or whatever. And it's not just about location anymore. You can have an absolute awesome location, but fail miserably at gift cards, payment processes, meeting your merchants or meeting your customers' needs, whether it's on online ordering or maybe it's a situation where they're looking at third-party ordering like Uber Eats or DoorDash or something like that. So within that ecosystem of the point of sale, I mean, there's a lot of other moving parts in there that can be very intimidating and overwhelming to the merchant.
I like that you called it the central nervous system. Is sort of the hub of everything, really.
Mhm.
Um, and so, what should they kind of want in that system? Like, obviously, you got payment, you've got your back of the house management operations system, with the kitchen, but you also, like you just said, you could be inventory where you're tracking your inventory, you're tracking waste. You're able to do that. I know there are systems that do that. You've got email, SMS, loyalty, gift cards. Like, do you sort of recommend that they do try to find an all in one?
Yeah, and what we also look at is the expandability of the system because in today's technology, there's a lot of innovative softwares that are coming to market that are not what we call legacy or traditional systems that have been around 20 or 30 years. Those legacy systems are companies like Micros that was acquired by Oracle. That's part of the merger and acquisition. Squirrel point of sale used to be a big one. Aloha used to be a big one, which was acquired by NCR. Those are the big legacy systems that are known in the hospitality realm. And just because they've been around for 20 or 30 years doesn't mean that they really have the technology down either. I kind of liken it to trying to bolt on a lot of other add-ons, or even in some cases duct tape it onto their existing architecture, because either the software coding is so old, or they haven't really reinvented themselves in a unique way. And so a lot of those big companies have been very hungry in their acquisitions, because that's the fastest way to add to their tech stack, basically, and not have to spend a lot of time in research and development and debugging and everything else. But lo and behold, I mean, we've got this entire app market that's all around us. I mean, on Android and Apple and everything else, and people are creating apps in their garages and for friends, and all of a sudden something really clicks, and then all of a sudden it becomes more popular. And then it's like, well, hey, this could actually be a minimum viable product for somebody. They keep working on it, and all of a sudden now we've got a new point of sale system. Now they don't have the 20 or 30 years of longevity or whatever, but maybe they're hungry and they're out to really make their change in their little part of the world, and they can actually do really well with it.
With AI and what's happening with that, it's just gonna get magnified and
Oh,
and it
absolutely. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happen faster even. So, are there any, like, big watch outs you would flag? Like, are there any things that you're like, I if you're searching for POS or a merchant, system, keep an eye out for this?
Biggest thing I would caution them on is any company or any representative that would want to try to sign them up with something with minimal to no visible paperwork. Oh, I'm looking at our paperwork again, because all of a sudden our rates and our cost, there's fees coming out of nowhere, and like we didn't necessarily agree to this or sign up, and now it's a battle against, okay, who said what and who promised this, and was that on the original proposal versus the final thing that we signed? And I'm like, oh no, oh no. Bonus round of what else I look for is, um, whenever we're doing the consulting or the brokering for a merchant, we keep their ownership in the driver's seat. They're telling us where they want to go. We're not taking them to a particular end destination. They're giving us their needs analysis, their biggest concerns, their biggest fears, some of their weaknesses, and we're looking at solutions to try to help or enhance or fix all of those things. And when you do that, you end up with a much more solid product, because it's the decision of the business. It wasn't like, oh, I was coerced into this, or this is the only product that we had. So
Right.
the contract stuff is the biggest one. Contract and paperwork is, you got to protect that thing like it's almost a mortgage document, because I've seen penalty fees of businesses trying to get out of relationships. There was a seafood restaurant that was trying to get out of their POS contract. It was going to cost them $54,000 as a penalty exit to leave their
Wow.
contract. And unless there was an absolute breach of contract on behalf of the processor and or point of sale company, that merchant was stuck for the term of that agreement.
Read the fine print, make sure you know what you're signing up for, especially when there's a long-term agreement. Some of the restaurants that I've helped go through, like, figuring out POS stuff, understanding those contracts it has been a key part of it. Um, and it's worth taking the time, and if necessary, the money to get legal counsel or to get professional counsel to get that figured out up front, because the back end, if you don't get it right, could be so ugly, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Well,
with the state of Texas, we have basically a contract window to exit a contract. And so we've been able to basically kind of save a few businesses from that. Like, and it's a little tricky because they count by business days. I believe in Texas it's 3 days. I think it varies from state to state. But basically, if it's Texas's way of saying, hey, um, I feel like I signed something that I really don't feel comfortable with a day or two afterwards, and I want to just basically discontinue the signature of the contract or whatever. Well, as long as you alert the other party within that window of time, there is no contractual obligation to continue into the full contract term.
you specialize in integrating the POS systems with other tools like QuickBooks or CRMs or so forth. For restaurants, like, how important do you think that integration piece is?
Well, I like to ask people primarily if they like to do work twice, basically the same work twice. And Most of them
That's a good
obviously
point.
obviously say no. And the biggest culprits are what I would consider the older cash registers, where they still have the actual physical key buttons on them. They ring out like a cash register slip. They have to uh, zero out at the end of the day. And then what happens is they've got a separate credit card machine next to that cash register. And so that's the best example of what I call double data entry, because what happens is for you to ring up a sale, whether it's a diner or a cafe or a small mom and pop operation, well, number one, you got to put the information into the credit card terminal, and that's only credit card sales. Maybe you have a gift card program on it. And then on the other side of it, you're using the cash register to ring up, some basic information about the transaction, the date of the sale, the amount, and so forth. Well, somebody's accounting department or the owner at the end of the day has to match all that stuff up to make sure that it reconciles and it goes into the bank account correctly, to make sure all the credit card sales cleared properly. And the point of sales today that are fully electronic and not what I just described there have the integrated side of it together. And so you can totally see everything literally within a few seconds, like tipping and gratuity and server hours. Or not. If it's a restaurant, it's server hours. If it's retail, it's cashier, check in and check out and break time. I mean, you can see all of that literally within a matter of seconds, just pulling up the right report. A lot of the savvy point of sale systems are doing what's called data syncing behind the scenes through an API, which is an application programming interface. It's all really technical to say that the two things, talk to each other, they shake hands, and they move the data to it.
Just the magnitude of data it collects, and also in how usable that data is if put into play. Can we use it for marketing tactics, but just also to better understand who is their audience, who really is their customer, and how do we talk to them and make sure that they're thinking of how to service them, right? What do they like? What are the things they're buying more of? If they're buying a lot of one thing, maybe you need to look at your menu and make sure you have more of that on it and less of something else that's hardly selling, right? Put it on
Yeah,
your
or
menu,
even
make
if
sure
they
it's
need to increase the price. I mean, that's a reality today
exactly.
too. Yeah.
Exactly. Fair enough. Yes.
So one of the other things that business owners don't really think about is it employee intention or is it just employee oversight? And what I mean by that is on some of the older point of sale systems, they don't have the levels of security that the newer ones would allow for, like permission based access. What is an employee doing on there? What kind of key presses are they doing? And that's extremely important, especially if you're running in again, the tight margins we were talking about. There was a situation where we were made aware of where the owner just felt like there was a drain on the resources somewhere and couldn't figure it out. And what happened is with a replacement of a point of sale, what they were able to do is track the fact that certain employees, whether this was learned or, as we say, intentional or not, um, they were ringing up items and then deleting them or voiding them in a way on the old system that wasn't being tracked by any reporting at all. So basically, that profitability or that item or that inventory just disappeared into the void or the ether. Restaurant owner had no idea what was going on because the food would be prepared, and then what would happen is the runner would run it out, and then they would collect payment. And in most cases, it was strategically cash or something that they could convert and just keep extra cash in the apron or whatever. I mean, it's a very methodical process on how certain types of fraud can happen within not just food service but in retail. And
Yep.
with the newer systems, I was just going to point out that not only are you able to set levels of permission, what somebody can or cannot do. But like, for example, if there was a report of, poor Johnny, he's a new hire, but man, he's sure using the void button or the delete the order button a lot or remove an item a lot. Like, what's going on? Is he just not trained properly, or is there some other ulterior motive going on there? And that's what happens is it presents a lot more evidence on whether or not to keep an employee is the bottom line. And so those are just additional tools just to help restaurant owners operate efficiently.
Okay. So with that, I kind of want to shift to like online ordering. Since I feel like since COVID, it really took it was around before COVID, but once COVID hit and people stopped going to restaurants, You saw online ordering go through the roof. You saw third party delivery go through the roof.
I think the most remarkable thing to me, even right now, like I guess we're technically like 4 to 5 years after COVID. I mean, if we look at 2020 as being the main year that all happened, I'm still
Yeah.
absolutely shocked on how many restaurant websites I go to that have no form of ordering at all. I mean, their equivalent is they may not even have a website, which is even more shocking. But then if they do have a website, it's maybe a PDF download, or it's not even a mobile optimized, format where I can look at it easily on my phone or my tablet. I mean, and I think from you as a marketer, I mean, those are kind of things where you just kind of cringe going, how much business are you losing?
Like that's one of the first things we go look at when we're assessing a potential client is what does your website look like? Are you doing online sales? Are you doing delivery? Are you, is your website dynamic and mobile friendly? If you don't have that, you are just really not keeping up with what expectations a customer has at this point. Going back to the POS itself, obviously the wireless devices have become much more popular, right? The handhelds that go straight to the table, they can take payment, they can take ordering, very efficient. Um, what what do you sort of what should they look for in a wireless device that you're kind of telling your customers to look for when they're considering that?
Well, so the interesting thing with wireless technology is, and this is because of computers in general, things have become faster, things have become smaller. They've been just more robust in being able to handle the programs and the memory that these things can do. And a lot of that is we can attribute to the smartphone advent that Apple kicked off many decades ago now. Nobody at that point really thought that a consumer grade device would really last in a commercial environment at all. And while that's still the case, there's a lot more ruggedness that comes with the devices now, whether it's the cases that they're put in, the straps, the wait staff, aprons, and so forth. And so, um, as the cost of computing has continued to drop, that's where having a handheld or something that's the equivalent of a smartphone now doing table side ordering, it has been a real winner. So they can take a device out to the table, order, push it to the kitchen, and then do a payment upon wrap up. And it's also intuitive enough now where they can leave a device at a table, not be kind of watching over you for that awkwardness, and then letting the customer finish, and then they could literally leave the device at the table or do a QR code and pay on the way out the door or whatever. So that has significantly changed.
Again, it's just the reduction of mistakes on orders to be able to do it right then and there. I think they're really interesting. And I like seeing that more and more restaurants are using those. I do think I think they're going to continue to just go on up because it's almost like a no brainer, right? Now, are they way more expensive?
Not necessarily. I mean, in some cases, it depends on obviously the memory, the size of the device, the screen. When you look at the spectrum of cost on a cell phone, it's the same thing with mobile credit card devices, what they can do or not do. I mean, is there a printer built into it or not? The more parts and the functionality you have, the more expensive it is. At what point are you limited to just your restaurant floor plan? Do you realize that you could take that exact same mobile terminal or wireless terminal out to a delivery and do your own deliveries and payments out on site? If you don't want to do that, what will do you ever do trade shows and samplings? You could take a payment device out there and sell your sauces and your condiments and stuff, right from a trade show table.
With the POS systems, obviously there's payment, there's inventory, there's back of the house, in front of the house ways of utilizing it. There's also then, of course, marketing arms with retention marketing, which is something I am very passionate about with POS systems, but also loyalty. So what have you seen with POS systems that have helped sort of dial up loyalty and the ones that are being used effectively?
My question usually to the restaurant owners, if they haven't really touched loyalty at all, or if they're nervous about giving too much stuff away, because I think that's the greatest fear is if they're running a low margin. Oh man, so now you're asking me to give away a drink or a beverage or a a birthday slice of cake or something. I mean, all of that stuff's got cost. They're looking at cost, cost, cost. Well, it's like, well, okay, let's look at the piece of cake, for example. How many people go out and celebrate their birthday on their own? Well, would it be beneficial for you to give out a piece of cake and have maybe an average group of 3 to 4 people or more come in and spend with that person to celebrate their special occasion, anniversary,
Yeah.
Father's Day, Mother's Day? I mean, you name it, you just go down the list. So all of a sudden now that it's not so much of a hurdle. And if there is a hesitation there, it's like, well, let's look at a different, element on your menu. What's your most profitable item? It's usually always beverages, teas, soft drinks, or whatever. Okay, well, on a very basic level, give them a free drink at some point, and then build up to some other higher tiers or whatever. And so, there's ways to accomplish a really good loyalty program. But the key question that I was really aiming for here is, if you were the one who was going into your restaurant, knowing what what would motivate you to keep coming back there? And if you're not excited about that particular reward or that program, then that's going to tell you that probably the general public is not going to be excited about it as well.
I look at loyalty as like, when you have to go get a new customer acquisition is expensive, especially in a marketplace like it is today, where it's loud. There are so many other restaurants competing for your customer, or your established customers' attention, giving them offers, trying to get them to come give them a try. I think it's can be short-sighted not to have something in place with a rewards or loyalty, just in the sense that um, you're assuming that someone's not going to be enticed by those other offers. And people's attention is short. I mean, think of yourself. How many times have you gone to a restaurant you really like, and then 6 months later, you're like, man, I haven't been there in like 6 months, because you forgot about it. They're no
Yeah.
longer top of mind. They haven't been talking to you. There's nothing that's incentivizing you to come back. Um, in that realm of reality, loyalty is cheap, because you're not doing new acquisition. You already have their email or their phone number. You can talk to them without a high cost of communication, and you have already gained their interest. They like you. They know you. They've signed up to get things from you. Um, Talk to them. Keep them coming in. Stay top of mind. Like, this to me is low hanging fruit, and there's so many examples of businesses that do this well, and it works. It can work very, very well, and it's surprising it can work from small, fast food restaurants to QSR, to sometimes I even have some restaurants that are high end restaurants that have loyalty programs. They're not
Mhm.
giving away the farm, but they're making it enticing enough that people, really enjoy coming to them, and they'll come there more frequently because they'll have some kind of reward at the back end. And I think every restaurateur needs to look at their numbers. They need to look in their data and say, where's the sweet spot? Where do I, how much can I give to get people to come in more frequently? And what is that worth?
When you have a really good loyalty program at your business, it actually can be more than just marketing or reminders, because we saw this during COVID. Um, the people that didn't do the loyalty programs had no text messaging programs at all. So how were their customer base supposed to even know that they were open? They had no outbound communication whatsoever. Not only is it important to use the technology for text messaging and email, but the most effective loyalty programs actually have a blend of all of those. And I look at even the stuff that incentivizes me to go visit different restaurants, but it's a combination of email, text messaging that I've opted into and that I can opt out of at any point, that's automatically handled. And then also, if I have the app, if I've gone that additional step and I've got the app on my phone, I'm getting in-app notifications if I've opted in for those.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, thanks, Todd. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how people could reach you if they'd like to work with you.
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Todd Sagaser. I'm one of the only Sagisors on the internet that way, so I'm pretty easy to find. If you're in the Houston area, you're welcome to come by our retail store. We are officially located in the West Chase District, which is off of Westheimer, a major corridor that runs east-west through Houston. and we're close to Beltway 8. You can look us up on Google under Payments Gallery, paymentsgallery.com. You'll see that we actually have a significant high number of reviews. It's because we treat every client and prospect with white glove service. We're kind of a boutique consulting firm in that regard. And it's very difficult just in payments alone to have high reviews. And then when you add point of sale on that, where all sorts of things can go horribly wrong, to have high reviews on that. Well, we've combined the both and we have 5-star reviews. So we're pretty proud of that. We hang our hat on that. We rely on a lot of our vendor partners and so forth to come through for us as well. And the reason that we operate out of a retail storefront is if there's an absolute problem and you need to put your hands around somebody's neck, well, I'm typically here Monday through Friday from 10 to 6. Fortunately, as a knock on wood, we haven't had anybody do that, but it's that public visibility where we're not hiding behind a website. We're not hiding in an office building somewhere. I'm not hiding in a home office closet that you would never see me or interact or face to face. We encourage the interaction, and we do that through a retail storefront. So we are absolutely supportive of businesses on Main Street and other little streets. We're small business friendly, and we want to set the model for that.
It's cool to go into their store because it does have so many POS systems. I feel like a lot of times people are making decisions and they don't have a lot of choices in front of them where they can touch it and play with it and see how it works and actually experience it. And think about all the times that might have been helpful in making a decision. Todd, thanks so much for talking with us today. Wealth of knowledge. You know and are passionate about POS and merchant systems. And I think this is really valuable for restaurants. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be on board, and I appreciate it. You guys have a great show here too, so thank you for what you do.
Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to follow and ring the bell so you're aware of the next episode on Setting the Table. We'll see you then.